Okay, so I
Get
have
what I
to do,
can.
okay, I have to do the roll call as though I'm looking right at you, but we look right at each other, of course, also at the meetings. Rachel,
Here.
Steve,
Here.
Sharon. Okay, Anne,
Here,
Virginia,
Here.
and Kenny.
Here.
Okay, gratefully, we also happen to have Sarah, our ex officio from NIU, and Mike Holland from Kishwaukee Water Reclamation District. All of you need to know Adrian sent an email to Ruth a little late. He had an emergency work meeting, so he will not be in attendance today. However, we do have a quorum. I need someone to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Okay, second.
who was that? Sorry, I'm trying to write. And
I made the motion.
Thank you, Steve. Who second?
Oh, I'm sorry, did someone seconded it?
I'll
Seconded.
Thanks,
Okay,
Rachel.
Virginia seconds it. Now, of course, we would, well, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Now, we could have public comment. I believe since this meeting is posted and the agenda is posted, I imagine that the OMA requires that the link be posted as well. Perhaps Jerry can comment on that and verify, because this should be open to people coming into this meeting. Can you verify that, Jerry?
Yes,
Okay, well, obviously no one's decided, so we're going to move on.
because anyone who goes to the City of DeKalb website and searches for the meetings for, in this case, the Environmental Commission, you can pop up the agenda. And on that agenda form, of course, should be the link to the meeting.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I just want to say to Anne, if you find yourself like getting flustered trying to take notes throughout the whole thing, I reviewed the recorded tape and was able to do it from there. So if you need any backup.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have 2 sets of minutes. Does anyone have any comments? And you would have received them both, hopefully, even though Ruth didn't get a chance to send the ones from November out until yesterday, that you've all had a chance to look at them. Does anyone have any significant changes? Or are there just maybe grammatical things that you need to email me after this meeting?
Just grammatical.
Yeah, I didn't see anything significant.
Okay, I have one thing that I will have to change. I noted that in the August minutes, Jason said that Mike had echoed a certain statement that he had made previously. And I emailed Jason and said, however, Mike was not at that meeting. Do you mean that you received a communication from Mike? And he verified, yes, that's the way it has to read. But that's after I already sent them out to you, so I will make that change. Okay, so let's first approve the minutes from August. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Oh, go ahead. Rachel, go ahead.
Okay,
I'm giving it to Rachel.
all in
That's fine.
favor, aye, say aye.
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 Okay, I don't see any opposed. Hi, Amy, it's nice to see you here. Now let's move into approving the November minutes. I trust that when each of you said you didn't have comments except grammatical, that included November's minutes. I don't believe I saw any omissions. So all in favor of approving the minutes as written, except for grammar, say aye.
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 Okay, we can move ahead. Now we will have commission reports. Again, the DeKalb County Health Department is still vacant. I intend to do some calling this week. It's always been a matter of staffing, that they simply didn't have enough staffing. We'll see if that's still true. Okay, Amy from the DeKalb Park District. Oh, we can't hear you.
Unmute yourself.
I'm not muted.
Oh,
Hold
now,
on.
now,
There you go.
now
There
we
you
can
are.
hear you.
Weird, you weren't showing as muted, but
Okay, good. So I don't really have a lot to report. Our pollinator project continues. Mike can probably give you an update on that too, but it's been seeded, and so now it will just look pretty boring throughout the rest of the winter. But that's underway. We're actually taking a look at kind of our capital budgets as well, and trying to determine what's our plan for maintenance for the area as well. So that's underway. We're struggling with trying to figure out how do we do work days? Do we do work days? And so if groups reach out to us, kind of we can help coordinate that, but we're not planning any work days right now unless groups reach out to us, just to kind of not encourage gathering at this point. So we'll see what happens in the spring.
Thank you. I want to let everyone know that I've been in communication with Amy over the last couple of days. We have in the later part of the agenda to explain that we already are now a Monarch City, part of Monarch City, USA. Well, I asked if milkweed had been part of the seeding mix for the pollinator project. And indeed, Amy sent me an email from a person involved in this, in which indeed 2 different types of milkweed have been planted. I looked up preferences of monarch butterflies because there's a number of different species. It turns out, and I will want to be forwarding this information, Amy, to, oh, I'm forgetting the man's name who's in charge. But it turns out that there is a great increase in egg laying if monarchs see a number of different species together. Now, one of their favorite ones happens to be the swamp milkweed. That is one of the planted ones. But there's one that's even more favored. And if it's possible, and of course, we're going to promote this to residents as well. If it's possible to have all 6 species that happen to be native to Illinois also planted together, we're going to have an increase in egg laying. So something to look toward in the future. Okay, Mike, your report.
So a couple things to report on. One item is something you guys may have seen over in the news or on the Chronicle, I should say, is that we've been working with NIU to try and get wastewater sampling for COVID testing going. So the idea with that is that COVID is detectable in human waste before people may even be symptomatic. So very early on in the process where, you know, someone could, you know, contract COVID, it appears in their waste apparently sooner than they're even showing symptoms. So we can be testing sewage for COVID as a means to predict outbreaks before people are actually sick and spreading it, really. So that's kind of the idea, and there's kind of been a nationwide. There's been a handful of wastewater utilities that have kind of been partnering with groups to try and do this. And so over the summer, I'd reached out to NIU's Biological Sciences Department because they have a lab with equipment that is capable to test for, you know, the RNA that can detect COVID. And so that's kind of where this has started from, and we're hoping to get something going here where we're actually sampling and starting to test here maybe by the end of this month or start of January. So I know it's coming on, you know, hopefully, you know, we get this all in line, and then it's a moot point because we've got a vaccine and no one even gets sick anymore. But I think that there's a growing kind of nationwide idea of using wastewater as a sampling mechanism to, you know, for various public health testing and reasons. So that's something that you may have heard of and figured I'd give you guys an update on. We think it's pretty interesting and has some really cool potential. Any questions on that before I move on? Excellent.
I'm sorry, Mike, at some
yeah.
point, I would love to hear the process once you get that going and you have it kind of condensed. I just think the process of where you get the samples and, you know, just that whole thing, once you got it all assembled, I think that'd be really cool to see.
So right now, initially our sampling locations are going to be, you know, we already have one at our wastewater treatment facility that samples everything that comes to our plant. So that's capturing the entire DeKalb community.
Oh, wow.
We have a pump station on Annie Glen Road that serves just kind of the NIU residence halls and University Village area. So that is going to be another sampling location, you know, to kind of compare NIU population to entire DeKalb population. And then from there, the idea is that we, you know, those two locations work well for us because that's where we have infrastructure already in place to be sampling. To be sampling in other spots, we've got other types of samplers that will still work. They're just not as easy to use because you've got to climb down inside a manhole to put them in place. But we can do it. We've got a couple of those samplers. So the idea with those is that we're going to put them in locations, you know, potentially right outside a residence hall or right downstream of a couple residence halls, and maybe that can be used to identify if there are certain, you know, student housing areas that might be have an outbreak happening there and be able to isolate them. That's conceptually the idea. We're starting with just the two at our plant and at our pump station, and then working out kind of where we'd go from there.
Thank you. That was cool.
Okay, a little bit of explanation about the next thing I'd like Mike to talk about. Earlier this year, I had finished watching a series of videos that was put on by a couple of different mayors' organizations that support climate resilience, plus having read a book on climate resilience. I had given a 6-page overview to the mayor. Part of that included the fact that the biggest danger that we have here in the Midwest in our exact area will be flooding over the next few decades. We'll have an increase of water in the spring, and then we'll have more serious drought as the season progresses. And they had a wonderful, well, there's a climate toolkit that you can go online to see. And I had sent to Mike a picture of a certain street water system that prevented flooding of basements, which can be a huge problem for our people in DeKalb. And Mike, can you take it from there and explain what could be possible?
So we'll back up a second, because if we're tying flooding to basement backups, it's a bigger discussion. So just to remind everyone, in DeKalb we have 2 different sewer systems. A storm sewer system that takes your rainwater from your gutters, the catch basins, your curbs, your sump pumps that are correctly hooked up. And that collects all the water, conveys it straight to the river. Then there's the sanitary sewer system. That's what you're flushing down your toilets and your showers and your sinks. That's what comes to the wastewater treatment plant. So when we have flooding and when we have heavy rains, theoretically, we shouldn't see any change in the flows that come to our treatment plant because our system is separate from a storm sewer system. In reality, whether it's through cracks in our pipe, cracks in the pipe between the house and our sewer, illegally connected sump pumps, illegally connected roof drains, illegally connected foundation drains, various other ways groundwater gets into our sewer system and can surcharge it to a point that it can back up into someone's basement. So there's a lot of different ways that people have, tried to prevent, and protect their basements, whether it's putting a standpipe on a floor drain or putting a check valve. But we've always said the only definitive way, if you want to protect your basement, is to put in what's called an overhead sewer system. And essentially what that does is it takes any fixture that you have in your basement and routes it to something that's similar to a sump pump that pumps it up higher and then goes out from your home. It prevent, if I don't know if Claire's got that diagram, though, it's a visually it's a lot easier to picture.
I'm going to pull it up now. It'll make it simpler.
Yeah,
Yes.
perfect. Because right now, if you picture, most homes, if you've got a floor drain or a bathroom in your basement, there's a pipe that goes out through your floor and then runs, slightly pitched down towards our sewer. And as far as sewer fills up, then it fills up that line and can come up through that floor drain. Well, if you essentially lift the elevation of that drain by doing this overhead sewer system, it makes it so that your basement can't back up, is essentially the idea. And it's a great thing to do if you're building a new house. If you've got an older house, you probably don't have that in already. So that's something that we've told people that if they've had, chronic basement backup problems, that's the surefire way to protect your basement, but it's also the most expensive. Now, that's not to say, I know you said, why aren't we doing more in our sewer system? The reason why we're talking about things people do in their basements, we've spent millions of dollars rehabbing our sewers. And what we found is that we can make the public sewer, the sewer that's in the street, totally watertight and allowing no excess water into it. But that just means the water is pushed back to the next crack that it can find. And so if we've got a street with 20 homes on it, then that's 20 different pipes coming in the side of our pipe in the street. And our pipe is only as good as the pipes that are connected from our main to the house. And so if you guys are familiar, the service, or the sanitary service from the house to the sewer main is the property of the homeowner. Even if it goes under the street, even if it goes all the way to the other side of the street, if there is a blockage in that pipe and it's under the middle of the road, it's still the homeowner's responsibility to dig up the road and fix that pipe. And it can be very, very expensive. But it's not untypical. That's just something that a lot of people don't know. So
Now, Mike, I'm going to share the screen. I do have it. Let me share this with all of you. Please tell me if you see this screen. What we're talking about here is the
there you go.
picture right here.
Yep.
So this is standard where you would get the problem in the basement. This is that overhead system that you're saying, of course, the individual homeowner would be responsible for changing to, correct?
Correct. So what we've said is that, and we've done years and years worth of studying and investing on this, and we're on parts of multiple committees. So what we've done in some areas is we said, okay, if we make sure all the public infrastructure is rehabbed and like brand new, let's do that first. And what we did is we put flow monitors into the sewers that we can measure all the water that's coming through the sewer in these rain events. And so we did that, and then we improved everything on the public side. And we found that we didn't actually reduce the water that was coming in. We allowed it to travel a lot faster. So it improved the hydraulics. It allowed the water to flow through the sewer quicker, but the volume of water coming through it did not get reduced at all. So we said, okay, we'll keep measuring these, we'll keep these flow monitors in our sewer. And what we'll do next is we'll start rehabbing the services. So we took a block over on the east side of town, Holly Street, in the Dodge area, if you know where that is. And we said, okay, everyone on Holly Street, and we identified Holly because we know from our flow monitoring that it was a high infiltration area. And we said, okay, everyone on Holly Street, we are going to give you guys all new sanitary services because we need to, this is a pilot program. We need to identify the impact of improving the private side service laterals. So that's what we did. And then we measured the results after we did that, and we finally saw an impact. We saw about a 40% reduction in the water that came through.
And those are those lateral systems you're saying that most homeowners are responsible for themselves, correct?
No, this is, yes, correct. The pipes that are between the house and the main. So we said, okay, so we've now proven a concept that if we want to truly see a reduction in the water getting into our system, we need to be fixing things on the private side as well as just the public side. But that it's a lot to ask of every single, person in the community to replace or line or inspect their services and then, put in these overhead sewer systems. So we said, okay, we as a district will benefit by reducing this water coming in. So it makes sense to us to incentivize the homeowner to make these improvements. So last month, I think it was, we adopted a new program that we've called the Lateral Assistance Program. That the district will provide funding to homeowners to implement these improvements. So that overhead sewer system is one of them. If you've got a service that is collapsed and you need to replace it, that'd be another. The idea is that we get so many calls from people who say, oh, my basement's backing up, and we go out there and we say, well, the sewer's flowing fine, you need to inspect your service, and they inspect their service and they find that they've got a collapsed service and they need to replace the whole thing and it's going to be $10,000, and that kind of thing. It's not like replacing your roof. If you got to replace your roof, you can maybe save for a couple of years or plan for that years out. If you find out you've got to spend $10,000 to replace your sanitary service, you can't wait 3 years to do that, because in the meantime, you got a home that you can't live in. So,
your program, Mike, pays 50% of that. Is that what I
you pay
read?
50%, depending on what it is you want to do. So if it's just an overhead sewer, which is great, we think those are an awesome idea for anyone with a basement, regardless of if you have flooding or not. If you got a finished basement, an overhead sewer is a great idea. And what we said is we'll pay for half of that, up to $5,000. We'll reimburse the homeowner for half of the cost to do that. And the process would be they would apply, submit an application to us. We would do an inspection of the home service. So what we'd want to do is we wouldn't want to, help put in this overhead sewer system and then find something else wrong with the service that we didn't know about. We said, if we're going to invest in helping the homeowner out with their service, we want to fix everything. So we would come in and we would televise the service, make sure there's no other problems that need to be fixed. If they've got a sump pump that's hooked up to their sanitary service instead of the storm sewer, that'd be something that we'd want to address at that time. If they have their foundation drain hooked up to the sanitary service, that would be something that we would want to address. If they've got roots that are, destroying the service, we'd want to address that at the same time. So we'd do an inspection. We'd essentially come up with, identify anything that needs to be done. The homeowner would then get quotes to do it, submit those to us. We'd say, looks good, move forward with this one. And we would reimburse up to 50%, depending on, a max of 5,000 if it's just a overhead sewer type of thing, or it could go up to 10,000 if it's additional work there. So it's a very new program. Not uncommon to have an overhead sewer program or a program where the municipality assists homeowners with this kind of work. It's just new in our area, and we're excited to get it going. We've had a couple applications already, and we've already talked to Bill Nicholas about this, and some other folks at city staff. We'll be at some point in the near future be making a presentation at a council meeting as well, to
Mike, is
really
there
familiarize everyone with it.
any possibility, Mike, of getting any state funding help for this kind of thing?
Probably not. We're not doing anything unique, really.
Yeah, this type of program is pretty common among sanitary districts these days, or water reclamation districts. One thing to note that was a little bit misleading potentially in that in the graphic yet that was shown is the nice thing about the overhead sewer projects relative to some others is typically that's all within the foundation line. So you don't have to dig up your whole service necessarily to alter it to an overhead sewer setup.
Mhm.
So that can help, mitigate some costs. But like Mike was saying, with that in mind, you could, dive into doing an overhead sewer and not realize that 10 feet outside of your foundation, you've got a collapsed pipe or a partially collapsed pipe. So that's why I think it's, very smart the way that the district is doing it and, wanting to take a look at the whole service and make sure all items are considered, prior to agreeing to reimburse anyone.
Mike,
Go ahead.
would this be like an ongoing program or is it for a limited time?
Nope. Our idea is that this is an annual program that we would budget money every year to do. This first year we budgeted $100,000, and we would increase that if necessary, depending on interest. But no, our intention is to have this available for forever. I guess for a better way to put it. I will say that we've had a couple different discussions with the city, as I mentioned. They've been very supportive of this, and they've been talking about. I apologize, Mr. Mayor, if I'm stealing any thunder of yours, but Bill has been talking about also trying to see what the city can do on the sump pump side of it, because if we find a home that has doesn't have a sump pump, there's a good possibility that home has a foundation drain that is directly tied into our sanitary sewer, which means that they've got a pipe that kind of goes around the perimeter of their foundation and then ties into that sanitary line that goes out and is just draining all the groundwater into our sewer system. We would want all that water draining into a sump pump, and then the sump line routed to the storm sewer. And if you can imagine, the cost to add a sump pump and then run a pipe from the home out to the storm sewer can be costly as well. And that was something that we've been talking with the city about, and that they've expressed some interest in trying to partner with us about that as well.
You're not stealing my thunder at all, Mike. And as a matter of fact, this particular scenario that we're talking about, it benefits everybody. In the long term, it benefits obviously the water reclamation district, the city, as well as the individual homeowner.
And this is excellent news. This means that we have a program in place that is addressing the problems we're having from climate change, and it's happening right now. And that's an excellent success story for the city.
And I will say the one thing that's a little, to elaborate a little bit on that, if we're talking about flooding, really this program is going to protect people's property more than it's going to do anything to address flooding issues.
Oh, but okay, I understand. But the flooding could lead toward property damage. Of course, we're not
Absolutely.
going to be able to stop the flooding.
Right. But yeah,
Well, there are there are strategies that we can do to, mitigate the impact of stormwater within the city as well. I mean, we
Mhm.
can do, permeable streets and rain gardens and
Right.
that type of thing to help, on both sides. Yeah, because the better that we can manage that stormwater too, the better we are doing at, kind of keeping those top few feet dry and keeping the head pressure down on all the pipes feeding into the sewer system as well.
Yep. Yep. And this, if we're also talking about stormwater mitigation, that's something that the park district's working on. With the the pollinator work. The big part of the planting the milkweed for the monarchs is awesome. But another huge benefit of that is just the deeper root structure of these plantings that are being put down to help soak up that water so that it's not running off more. And as we convert more and more acres, every year, which is what we've been doing the past 2-3 years between us, the park district, we're talking to the school district, we're talking to the city. As we continue doing that, maybe we start chipping away at these things.
Thank you very much. Did you have anything more?
I don't think so. We've got we're finally starting to get some really good information back on our generator that is producing power from our treatment plant. And last month I think was the first month that we so we've got multiple electrical services, but we are actually produced more power than we are consuming with our brand new construction. Now, if you netted out our whole plant, we were still in a net positive consumer, but we essentially cut off, I think, about a half of our normal electrical usage with our generator that we're powering right now, and it's really exciting for us. So we're pretty pumped about how that's coming together.
That's excellent. And I know you have a cooking oil reclamation program. Do you have, of course, with COVID-19 and restaurants being down, do you still have either restaurants or different groups bringing you cooking oil?
Yeah, so the restaurants, a commercial establishment will pay a company who's got a truck that'll come out with a hose and suck out those grease traps. And they still come to us. Yep, every day, multiple trucks are dumping at our plant, and that's what we're putting in our digester. It's great for producing methane, which is what we are using to power our plant. So that was really one of the big driving forces that made this feasible for us, was the additional gas we were able to produce with some of these other waste that we're taking in. And restaurant cooking grease is great. On the residential side, yeah, we've got a little drop box right outside our front door that people can come by anytime and take their little jars and put it in there too if they wanted to do that. We still get a handful of those that come in as well. So yeah, things are going. We're nearing the end of our project, and we're starting to see this light in the tunnel, and it's good. It's going really good, which is nice, because there's just so much going on in the community right now. Between it seems like, although COVID has shut down things, I don't know that I've ever felt busier with what we're doing. I mean, there's just so much going on right now in the DeKalb area. It's really, really exciting. So it's nice that this project's wrapping up and has been so successful, because now we're turning towards what we're building to serve the Facebook and for our areas, and some of the other developments and other projects that we're working on. So it's pretty exciting.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah, no problem.
You made up for the 3 times you weren't with us.
There you go. Yeah, it's nice to be back.
Good. Okay, let's see. Sarah, do you have a report?
Well, certainly no, nothing that can compete with that. That was all really interesting to hear about. I mean, the report is basically we're still online, and we're going to be online for the spring, and there's not a whole lot not a whole lot more. The kind of NICS program or institute, which is kind of the Sustainability Institute. There's still some planning going on for that, but nothing kind of major, and I don't really expect anything major to happen this year. The funding is still tied up at the state level. So no, I don't really have much of a report from the law school or the university more broadly.
Okay, thank you. I attended this Chamber of Commerce State of the Communiversity talk this morning from 9 to 10. And apparently things are going very well with the city working with the university. And we seem to have enough funds to proceed with that sustainability center. But again, Dr. Freeman did say that the planning process is still going on and it's not going to start quite yet.
Yeah, and that's kind of my general impression as well. We have kind of these monthly meetings, but they're generally quite short and mostly I think just to make sure people are still paying attention to it a little bit. But if there are further updates on that, I'll certainly let this group know.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can stay because usually you jump in with really good advice when we start talking about regulations and ordinances, which we are going
Certainly,
to do.
I can
Thank you.
stay, and I apologize, I'm not on video. I'm having some bandwidth issues today, but I'm here.
Okay, thanks. City staff liaison, just an update. I heard from Bill Nicholas. I believe this new person is starting the 22nd of December, something like that, Jerry?
I understood it was the 14th, but that may have been moved back.
Okay,
to the 21st,
I have all kinds of dates in my head. Okay, so the point being that we will, at our January meeting, have a liaison who I don't know if he'll have an intern, whatever that may be, things will be more back to normal the way we run our meetings. Okay, first I have to ascertain before I start on the new business. Jerry, are you going to be with us for a while? Because I need to speak with you again about toward the end of the old business and new announcements about when your announcement might be going out to various members about renewing their commitment.
Well, I can do that now if you'd like, or if you prefer that I wait until the end of the meeting, that's fine also.
Okay, as long as you're going to be here is my concern.
Well, when you said a while, I take it a while does not mean 7 o'clock or.
Oh,
8
no,
o'clock.
no, it should be finished by 6. Okay,
I
let's
think
move
the
to
Environmental Commission has the longest running meetings of any commission in the city of DeKalb.
We have a lot to do. Okay, Pride Award nominees. Very happy to say we have 4 of them. You did receive those. I am actually going to pull up the screen. We don't have to read them all online. That I'm going to give you a visual of them, and then we'll simply talk about them. We didn't get any from the public. From what I understand, I don't get the Daily Chronicle all the time. Just I see it now and then. I know that Jason sent out to a number of different newspapers, the county, the city. There were at least 4 of them, to make the announcement that we're asking people to make nominations. We got none from the public. We got all from our commission, which is fine. I did check with Bill Alekno because Rachel wanted to nominate my husband for the work, as you saw when reading this, for the work he's doing scrapping metal. I didn't know if there was any conflict of interest involved because that's my husband. And excuse me, it turns out there's not. Bill said, and I noticed from the past record, which I sent out to you about all the different Pride Awards we've given, that he actually was on the commission the very year that Dan nominated him for the award for all that he was doing on the commission. So he said there won't be a problem. But the one thing he said he thinks should be instituted, and he remembers they did this the last time. The person who made the nomination, when we now come up to vote on whether we accept these nominees, Rachel would not vote on that one because she is, well, close to my husband since she's my daughter, though there's not a blood relation, but she really should abstain from voting. So that being said, let me simply share my screen. I'm going to bring up, if I can find it, because sometimes things hide. Let me share this just to go through them. Everyone can see this. The first one we're going to look at very quickly here is, oops, that. Okay, I guess that was the first one, is Nick Newman. And as you'll recall, hopefully everyone read this, it's because of the pollinator project that he coordinated and his role. So he's been monumental in working on this project and getting it off the ground. Without having to read all this, we have enough to do. I'd like to ask if anyone has any objections. I didn't think you would. I'm thinking of simply going through all 4 of them and voting as a group. This one, let me stop sharing this one because I see that what I did is I brought up just an individual one. Let me share my screen again. Let's see here, minutes. Oh, here we go. These are all the ones actually that Ruth emailed out to all of you, in which she blocks out addresses and stuff. So here's the one that Steve made. It's the Armor Systems because they provide free electronic recycling, etc. I can't imagine there'd be an objection to this one. As I go through, if anyone has comments, pro or con, just let me know. The next one is Carl Crone, and that was for all his work that he's doing, not only with the scrapping group and saving a lot of metal from going into the landfill, but for his work helping to feed those who don't have enough food, working with his union on the Stamp Out Hunger food drives. And I had made this recommendation, Paulino, known as Scrappin' Pallet Man in the YouTube world. He has his full station in which he travels with his little head video camera, showing people as he walks through the town all the different scrap he's picking up. He's done a humongous amount of work with the scrapping industry. And then lastly, I think this Nick Newman was the last one in this particular stream of them. So let me stop sharing here. Would someone entertain a motion? Well, first, maybe I should put it out to the floor. Any discussion on this at all? Okay, well, obviously there's no objections. I hope everyone finds these a good set. I certainly thought that these people were well chosen. So could you entertain someone entertain a motion to accept these Pride nominations for 2020? Okay, Sharon so moves. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. It's moved in second. That was Steve. Yes. It's moved and seconded that we accept the nominations for the Pride Awards for 2020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, wonderful. Then what, again, this is the first time I'm doing this, Jerry. I believe now Ruth has all these nominations. Are these then forwarded for your perusal? We approve them. And then I know the next step is that the city council will, of course, probably accept it because we have accepted it. And I remember speaking to you, it could have been just by email, that we have to decide how we're going to do this year. Typically, we bring the people in, they stand before the city council, we make a declaration, they're handed their plaque. But it's, with COVID-19, I don't even know, are you even having an in-person city council meeting this month?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, we're having two, one on the 14th and one on the 28th.
Okay, you will. Now, I'm trying to recall, aren't we limited to 10 people in a room under tier 3?
I think it's 10, yes. Mhm.
So therefore, you can't admit most of the public.
Well, our public attendance recently, because of COVID and all that, has been no more than 10, 15 folks, excluding the city council members.
Exactly. So actually, the city council and your minutes taker, et cetera, makes up all you can really have in that room. Therefore, how do you propose to do these awards this year?
Well, I think you and I had shared an email on this. What I would recommend is that you forward the Pride nominations. We will accept those. And at the potential recommendation of the commission that due to COVID, that we simply make the presentation at a time when we are able to have more folks come in. Now, with Zoom being so prevalent now, and with links being so prevalent, we could do these awards in January or whenever virtually.
Okay, if we're going to do them virtually, is there a reason we can't get them on a December schedule?
I would recommend that it would be just December 28 meeting. December 14 is pretty full. And as you recall, this may be on your agenda, Claire, I do not recall, but on the 14th, 3 awards are being given to individuals or organizations of tremendous interest to this commission. One is the Water Reclamation District will be getting an award from 350 Kishwaukee. 350 Kishwaukee will be giving the city of DeKalb an award for attracting businesses like Facebook. And as you know, the community development director, Matt Sexton, is going to be zooming in from Iowa, from Des Moines, to accept an award on behalf of Facebook. So those 3 awards will be given. So I would think that just to make the Pride presentations somewhat more unique, I'd move it to the 28th or sometime in January.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I'm not sure that the rest of the commissioners have been reading the news about our Facebook establishment, but it's going to be the most environmentally sensitive building and entire complex that we have in the city. It's remarkable. At some point, we're going to have the man that is getting the award come to one of our meetings. He's said that he'd be certainly willing and he could explain what he's doing. And then we're going to publicize this as one of our articles that we're going to have in the Chronicle to encourage other businesses to have the same goals and green themselves.
As a matter of fact, Claire, I just learned yesterday that Matt Sexton is going to be the primary speaker at the DeKalb County Economic Development's annual meeting, to which anyone can attend. It will be done virtually. And I think he'll probably, as part of his presentation, mention how renewable energy and that bailiwick will be primary into this data center here on the south side of DeKalb.
When is that meeting?
That meeting is on the, I believe it's the week of December 14th, 14th. I think it's the 17th. If you just Google DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation, a number of folks here. Amy, I think you're on that board. Mike, I don't know if you or somebody from the Water Reclamation District are on the Economic Development Board. But I think it's the 17th, but just Google that and it'll be I think it's a 3:00 p.m. meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Excellent.
Claire, I would like to say, because I'd feel bad if I didn't, that I was intentionally not speaking up or saying anything about Nick Newman's Pride Award nomination, but I'm really glad that Amy submitted that. One, because I think it means so much more to Nick that it's coming from, someone outside of his own organization is seeing the awesome work that he's doing with us. And I was just so pleased to see him nominated because he is just such a sharp guy and he's so passionate about what he's doing and he's really doing a great job. So thank you, Amy, and thank you to this to this group for recognizing him. I know that he is just gonna be thrilled. So
Excellent. Thank you.
Work he has been doing for this project has been definitely above and beyond. And
yeah.
yeah, and the resources that you provided for the community.
Okay. The mayor and I attended the 350 Kishwaukee monthly meeting on Zoom last Monday of this week. And their concern was, what is the city going to do to promote climate resiliency? And yes, Ann?
Is this new business or old business?
We're still on, this is the new business. We're number 2 of the new business.
Okay.
And this is how it came up, that flooding is going to be our major concern and what can we do and all that. And a couple of meetings ago, actually the last time we met in person, that was August, we talked about maybe needing a subgroup of the CEC that specifically deals with climate resiliency. And the biggest issue, as I had said at that time, is time that any of us have for doing even more than we do. I certainly would be willing to join with someone who may want to make some of the efforts that would often have to do with attending. There's webinars on this and learning about what other mayors, for instance, and townships in our area are doing and how we can join in and what we can promote. Is anyone interested in forming a subgroup on climate resiliency? And I fully understand if you don't have the time. I don't have the time. I just consider it extremely pertinent.
I guess how would the logistics of something like that work with the Open Meetings Act? I'm just thinking the last time when we were trying to do the sustainability plan and what a nightmare all of that compliance was.
And I'm trying to remember even how we did it. We even had another thing in which we were going to, and we did this for a while. It was an education spinoff in which we had a subcommittee that was dealing with how we were going to do different programs and make little web films, which we never got to getting around to doing. But Ann, I think you were on there with me. Didn't we was that just you and me? Did we have a third person? Because of course, then you have the Open Meetings Act to be concerned.
Yeah, we did have a third person, but then because of the Open Meetings Act, we couldn't continue. And then we got caught up with other stuff. So it just sort of fell apart.
So it looks like if there's 2 of us, we can work on it. But if there's 3 of us, then we have to have meetings scheduled and put the agenda on the website, and it has to be monitored, et cetera, et cetera.
Would it
So,
be
again-
possible, Claire, would it be possible to get some kind of information about what exactly this climate resiliency program looks like? Because I don't like making decisions unless I see something, a little more thorough. I'm not saying that I'll do it, but maybe if we saw a little bit more of what was entailed and what the goals were, people might be able to make a more informed decision as to whether or not they want to join.
One thing I can send to you, which will really help, is that when I did meet with the mayor and wrote that summary I mentioned during this meeting, that will put in 6 pages, because there was a lot of data, everything that we are approaching as the decades come. And as far as what it involves that, say, any one of us who's on the subcommittee will do, I think that's kind of an unknown. For instance, if something comes up and they need input on, like I'm going to attend there's a climate, which I will send you the information. As a matter of fact, I'll have Ruth post it. A full 2 climate days coming up next week, climate days. Climate resiliency as the seminar that goes over a couple of days. That's coming up. If anything, Anne, if you have the time to look at that, that would give you an idea of the issues being addressed in our area and what other communities are thinking of doing. At this point, I think the biggest thing is going to be monitoring what's going on. Because like neither you or I can do what Mike does, which already, the Kishwaukee Reclamation District is already addressing this by the very fact they had that 50% deal for people that wanted help with their water systems. So I think it's mostly going to be a information collecting kind of subcommittee. What do you think, Jerry?
I would simply, I mean, you have so many things on your agenda now. As an environmental commission, what's one more bullet point on an agenda? I'm just afraid that that as the more things you add to an agenda, the more individual items tend to get watered down, in my opinion. And you and I have talked about this in the past. I don't think you necessarily agree with me on that, but
no, you remember, Jerry, that's specifically why you suggested maybe we have a little group branch off because we shouldn't add more onto our agenda.
well, that may have been your take on it. I just think that anytime that you get a subgroup, you run into the OMA scenario, the Open Meetings Act scenario. And I guess what I was trying to say is, if you feel that that is important and that is a priority item that the Environmental Commission of the City of DeKalb needs to take up, then I would say find a way to do it. And if finding a way to do it is adding it to an agenda item on your regular commission, so be it. If you want to go the subgroup, again, you're going to have to do what you alluded to, Claire, and that is to meet within the Open Meetings Act parameters. You're going to have to do some of the posting. You're going to have to perhaps find additional staff time. And I can tell you, as Bill has been telling you now for months, the staff time that we have now at the City of DeKalb to add as liaisons to another group, the likelihood of that happening is slim to none.
Okay,
I don't mean
then
to,
frankly,
I don't mean,
it
I
makes
don't mean to
sense
throw a
that
wet
when
rag on this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I understand. I understand perfectly, because we discussed the fact that there's a lot I can't expect. Jason couldn't cover a number of items we needed done for months. And I can't imagine you all of a sudden have 3 more extra staff members coming in unless someone disagrees. I'll simply forward people climate related information that has to do with the City of DeKalb. Upcoming webinars if you're interested, new information, and you can read it. And then I can always, like Jerry said, add it as an agenda item. If we need to make a motion, in other words, if it turns out like, oh, look at this opportunity, there's money available for the state, from the state, for instance. Let's make a recommendation to the City Council that ... Then it'll simply be part of what we do at our meetings. I see nods. Anyone disagree?
Well, I'm curious. I'm curious because how does it fit into our sustainability plan? Does it, if it's already part of one of those 16 statements in the sustainability plan, then fine, that can be incorporated in, but I think our focus is a sustainability plan, right? And accomplishing things there. So is there, and I don't have the whole document memorized. I know I just looked at it recently, but are there parts specifically where we can squeeze it into a sustainability plan chunk or
And I
item?
think you're absolutely right, Ann, because the concern about water, flooding, all of that's in there already.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, resiliency and sustainability are essentially the same issue. Yeah, it's playing the semantics slightly, but it's effectively the same collective of issues being considered.
Okay. Yeah, just so that it's not like adding more to the plate, but it helps us make more
Okay, thank
informed
you.
decisions and move us in the right direction.
Okay. Well, moving right along here because we still have a lot to talk about. The CEC public presentations for 2021 and how public they are. We may have to do them on Zoom. We, a couple of years ago, decided we wanted to have at least 3 a year. We had, I believe it ended up being 4. Just a minute, I just have to plug in my computer, which I forgot to do. As I was about to run out of power. Okay. Any ideas for topics we want to cover in 2021?
Are you still planning to do 5G?
Yes. Let's put that 5G, let's put that definitely as one of them. Excuse me. Anyone have any other ideas?
We haven't explicitly done our own freestanding electric vehicle event, have we? I know we kind of tagged on to another EV.
350 Kishwaukee, yes.
Potentially, I mean, that's always a pretty easy topic to find people to speak to.
Okay, because of course the electric vehicles are getting more affordable, they're doing more things. We can definitely do an electric vehicle one again. Also, we can incorporate the fact that we're about to have an electric vehicle charging station that's going to be set up. You know the timeline of that, Jerry?
No, I don't. I know that I think it's been budgeted. We have the equipment for the charging stations. The last I heard, we're going to have 2 downtown.
Okay. I think maybe we can, again, do a natural habitat presentation. We can certainly develop what we've done before. Actually, Rachel's been working on a PowerPoint for a while, and that could be another good presentation. Anyone agree?
Yes.
Okay. Now, because we were so late in being able to meet with the city and give them our yearly report, I think it was May or something that we finally, it could have been later than that, gave our year's report. All of a sudden, we're at the end of this year. We haven't been able to accomplish a lot because we couldn't meet about 3 different times. And there's a lot of things we had to let go by the wayside because of COVID-19. But technically, in January, I'm going to again present our year-end report, and we can ratify that next time. Okay, anyone have any other ideas? Okay. Now, sustainability plan updates. We can't go into this at great length. I'm going to pull up for everyone to see the document. The big interest right now, I mean, this is an unfinished document. Jason didn't have time to get the new parts out of this document and then into the sustainability plan so that we could have a new one starting from 2020. That was the hope. We'll have to have that done by to do it starting from 2021. Rachel is involved in making these updates, but she hasn't had the time to put all these in because of her work schedule. So let me pull this up. The big concern here is that we have a lot of commissioners that were primarily responsible for things that were Dan and Bill. And they both left one after the other. And we've never addressed this yet. And so let me get up to the top here. We have things that Jason was going to do. We're going to leave those and not touch them until we get the new liaison and see if that person is going to take those over. I'm going to just do some scrolling here. And when we get to one that is strictly Dan Kenny, I'd like to ask if someone would like to take that role and replace him. So recruit and promote businesses engaged in the green economy. Now, some of these I realize they take a lot of work, and all I can say is you'd have to really want to do this and be active, and a lot of the activity now will have to be calling and Zoom meetings because you can't meet with people.
I have a question real quick. Since we have a new member, has he picked anything? Is there anything that he hasn't, or is there anything that his name is on?
It wouldn't have been added into this document because we haven't had the document up, but he's the one, of course, working on light intrusion.
Okay.
I believe that has recently been added on here. And that's
Okay.
not a lot of things.
Yeah, I didn't want to say like, oh, let's just put him everywhere Dan is. But just as a thought, there may be some things that he is interested in if nobody wants to do. Just what I'm saying is, I don't think we have to feel like we have to take them all now.
Okay.
Just a thought.
If someone doesn't want something, what I'm going to do and then update the document so it's a new document. As a matter of fact, right now I'm going to do a save as. Hold on here because I'm afraid of writing on this. And when I'm sharing it, I can't save as, unfortunately. Oops, it's allowing me to. I am going to save this as a different. I better get out of here. Let me stop sharing this for a moment. Save this document, and then I will be right back with it.
Oh.
So while you're saving that, Claire, I
Yes.
still do not have one. So I was looking through the list. I'd be willing to take on number 7, which was all of Bill's stuff on alternative energy. If you want to throw me in there, I'll take those.
Fabulous. Let me now get to number 7 here.
We'll see if I can
Okay.
figure out what the heck to do.
I'm just blanking on your last name.
Oh, Schult, S-H-U-L-T.
Oh, that's right. Oh, of course it did that. And we'll simply scroll you down. So all of these here, you're going to take. Excellent.
We'll try.
Okay, going back up here, again, if someone specifically doesn't want what I'm going to, I thought I had some more up here. We're going to leave all Jason's. I was getting to, okay. Okay, this is the one. If someone specifically does not say, I want to do this, I'm simply going to remove Dan's name. And then when Adrian's back again, we'll ask him. Anyone interested in engaging with businesses? Okay, delete that. Again, this has to do with promoting businesses and institutions. No one's particularly wanting to. Rachel, apparently here, you were also going to work on this DeKalb Businesses Going Green Award. Are you still willing to do that?
I guess I'm not really even sure how I would begin.
Okay, well, you can try to figure that out. at
And
this
even as
point.
far as recruiting businesses, I mean, how does a like business major just go and recruit businesses?
Oh, usually it would be going to talk to business owners. And
Oh, right, but I mean, like a random outside business, how do you even like go find them and say, hey, come to DeKalb?
oh, no, no, no. No, this is to create an award for
Oh, right,
those.
but I'm referring to the two that, Dan Kenny had been on.
Oh, I see.
I mean, without being like a business leader in the community, how do you even start to do that?
Well, we'll let Adrian figure that out. Let's see. So we have Ann in here now. Oops. Chamber of Commerce to build a digital information hub to provide resources for job seekers and employers, as well as training and grant. That seems like a big order. Anyone like working with digital information? Okay, we'll delete Dan from there. Encourage the use of appropriate vacant or abandoned property for business incubator space. That was all Dan's thing. I don't even know who will be taking that up.
Yeah, the problem with a lot of these is I wouldn't even know where to start on some of this stuff.
Exactly. And Kenny, what do you think? Are these doable for us?
Which aspect here in terms of?
Well, I mean, we're talking about building a digital information hub and to provide resources for job seekers and employers, as well as training and grant opportunities in the green economy. These are tall orders.
It seems kind of blue sky.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who was kind of driving these originally. These might have been some of Melissa's kind of.
Well, Dan was on all of them.
He also had,
Maybe they were originally.
I mean,
I think they kind of
I did.
evolved from Melissa's original input, that there was a big focus on economic sustainability as part of the sustainability plan beyond just environmental. And that's where, I don't know, there was some debate at that point on, if this is an area where we want to be going or not. And I think that's kind of where we're getting to again.
Okay. Now this particular one here, number 7, I'm going to add my name because I would like to promote something that you have stressed in the past, Kenny. Maybe you could go on this with me. Actually getting into the requirements for any new buildings, certain set standards like heat pumps instead of regular fossil fuel burning furnaces and things like that. And like you just mentioned today, permeable pavement, if we're going to allow a business to come in that's going to have a large parking lot. I would like to get that into our code. Would you like to work on that with me?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested. I mean, I just would like to see some level of action or whatever.
Okay, I'll simply add you there. This one, we've got encouraging connections between local farmers and businesses within the city, increasing communication between the county, city, chamber of commerce, et cetera, et cetera. Another tall order.
and Dan's involvement with the DeKalb Community Gardens gave him a lot of, in with these things and his other positions. So
Well, maybe Dan's just gonna have to come back.
I think so.
Okay, this was, again, this was Community Gardens, that was Dan. Doesn't mean we can't always promote establishing more gardens, but that's promote food security, of course, that was Dan.
You know what? Put me on that one.
Oh, good, wonderful.
You can put me on 8.3, the one that you just scrolled past as well.
Excellent. Provide information to the public regarding seed gathering and seed exchange networks, provide education. I guess I'll just delete this now. And these could be things that Adrian would be interested in because he's very interested in sustainable gardening.
And if there was a spot on the city website for those things, I mean, that's something that, you know, literature could be posted too.
Well, and also if you go back to
Yeah,
that
but
about the seed library, if you look at the notes on that, the DeKalb Library has a seed library.
Yes.
And it may
Yes.
just be a question of better publicizing that and or just working with the DeKalb Public Library to expand that program.
It would be a matter of how to, in a sense, it's already happening.
Right. So why don't you put me on that, and I'll see if I can talk to somebody at the library about what we can do to help foster that.
Yeah,
Okay,
because the first question I would have on that is how does the seed library work? I mean, it's, you know, not as obvious as a regular library. There's nothing to necessarily return. So,
correct. And I have gotten seeds from that seed library. And I think there's kind of a hint that, well, then collect seeds after and give back. This is not very straightforward because you can't just collect seeds. If you take bean seeds and you plant them with a whole bunch of different varieties, the bean seeds you're getting out of that have already hybridized and mixed, and you can't just return them.
Right.
So I didn't return any of mine. Okay, in partnership with Live Healthy DeKalb County, promote community-based education on nutrition and healthy food preparation. Maybe this is something we should do a program on. Now, I certainly know things about healthy food preparation.
Oh, yes, me too.
So actually, that could be a very excellent program. I'm going to add that to our programs. But as far as working on that, I'm going to delete this at the moment. Steve, Sharon. We have a lot of these that are simply, this was mine. I'm not sure why my name isn't on there. Promote community education regarding emerging technologies. That was mine. Keep informed about current research and policies regarding the environmental and human health. Oh, I'm sorry. Develop residential zoning, building codes. Yes, this is the one. I believe this sounds like what I was just talking about to you, Kenny, about. I'll just put us both down here. We're almost done here. For some reason, this is what Jason had put big red things wrong. I don't know why. Encourage developers to use link development, et cetera, et cetera. All these things I have no idea how to do either that I'm on. Promote a zero waste policy for the city of DeKalb and align and coordinate the city guidelines and policies with, well, unfortunately, they disbanded the zero waste program at the county level. I'm not even sure how to work on this period, so we're going to leave that empty. Almost done here. integrate alternative means of transportation within the city. I think the city did it themselves. Jerry, didn't the Husky bus system and the city come together now?
Oh, yeah. The Transvac system and the city of DeKalb, the transportation system, tremendous improvement over the last year during 2020 on this. So when it says integrate alternative means of transportation, if that means continuing to look at where we need to bring people, where people need to be picked up and all that, yeah, they've made tremendous progress. As a matter of fact, that would be a wonderful presentation by our Director of Transportation, Marcus Cox, to come in and talk to the Environmental Commission if you're interested on what's been done in transportation. You know, because transportation ties so much into the food desert scenario that we have in certain sections of our community. The transportation folks have been working with Dan Kenny and the community gardens, just a lot of collaboration. So
Excellent. And what's Mark's last name?
Marcus Cox, C-O-X.
Marcus?
That is correct.
Okay. I'll invite him. Almost done here. Complete Streets program, expand bus routes. That's all part of this, which no one's going to be immediately put on. Recruit new developments, include networks and infrastructure. Again, that's all part of the transportation. Provide a shuttle to the Elburn train station. Promote transportation efficiency and alternative forms of transportation. A lot of this seems redundant.
Yeah.
That's something when we go through this again that we'll have to discuss. It's going to take a whole meeting. So we're going to have to do that another time. Let's see, Dan, install more bike racks citywide and on city buses. We will just delete that at the moment. Establish a citywide bike sharing program. I believe that happened and then I think it failed. I don't think we have one anymore, do we?
I don't believe so.
It turned out that people were too irresponsible to be taking their bikes back to racks and they were leaving them all over by people's lawns. People were very irritated about that and then they kind of disappeared. At least I haven't seen them anymore.
I believe you're correct.
Okay. Almost done here.
Famous last words.
Look, I was right. I was right. Okay, we're going to save what we did today. We will need to revisit it literally, maybe January, February. We'll literally have this as our agenda and go through and decide what can we do. Are the people who are responsible for certain tasks still want to be, and see where we go from there. Okay, let me move on because we don't want to push it past 6, do we? I will stop sharing this. And the monthly Daily Chronicle articles. This is really a very exciting possibility. I want to bring up some ideas that I have. Obviously, I can't write 12 500-word articles myself. So I really am going to need people to want to volunteer, not only with ideas, but if I come up with an idea, maybe someone saying, I'll take it. You know, we're volunteers. I don't want to say, okay, Steve, you're going to have to write this one. That's not the way we want to work. But let me tell you some of the ideas I already came up with. The next thing on this list, of course, is Monarch City, USA, which I might as well give you that update because it relates to this. We are now registered. We have received the email stating that we are. We have been asked what kind of placards that we want, that I have to work with Jerry on deciding what we can afford as we enter the city, indicating that we are a Monarch city. I would like, now see, that actually wouldn't be a bad full presentation, nor would a lot of my ideas on here be bad, but I would like to, actually, I was going to ask Rachel if she would write the article announcing this wonderful new enrollment onto Monarch City, USA, stating the fact that we are in direct line of migration, the types of milkweed people should be encouraged to plant, what this means for the population, et cetera, et cetera. So that would be one of the articles. Another, promoting natural habitat in the spring for the spring planting. We are now going to be moving on to the leaf garbage burning ban that we'll be talking about. Announcing that would be another. The Facebook industry coming into our city and all it is going to do for as a model of sustainability. Celebrating scrappers and how they're helping the environment. Fun ideas at social distances, because we are not about to enter 2021 and all of us are going to be vaccinated and everything's going to be fine. We're still going to have to keep our distance for a while. Recycling rules. Something I'd like to throw out to all of you. Are you aware that you can recycle clean aluminum, but you have to put it in a ball, and the ball can't be any bigger than 4 inches, and you can't give tiny balls, and there's all kinds of little things like that. And you can't give any aluminum foil that's flat. Who thinks of these things? And how about that you need to have put the cap on the bottle. They used to tell us, take the caps off the bottles, and don't put the lid of a can you open in the can. They want the lid separate. This would be a great article because who even thinks about this? So, and do not crush your containers from milk and half and half, put them in whole. That's another thing. And I'm just throwing ideas out here for you. Breeding, planting the kind of native plants that birds need. Because if you don't plant certain native plants, you have less breeding birds in your territory. There's a ton of things we can say. And some of the things I've thrown out, I will send as an email and asking you to jump on board that sometime within the next year, it would be good to have an article written. And I'm teaching 3 classes next semester with like over 135 students. I can't do it all. So anyone who has any other ideas to add to that, when I send this email out with my ideas, please email Ruth and give her yours and say, well, you know, I'm very knowledgeable on ... and therefore I'd like to write this. So, okay, well, anyone have any more comments on that?
I just have a question about, so the procedure for this will be what? We've got, someone writes an article, who sends it to who gets it to the paper? How does that work? And we need to talk about deadlines as well.
Absolutely. I need for you to tell me the deadlines from the new editor per month.
Yeah, we don't have a specific time. My thinking is if we want to make the paper's job as easy as possible, and I assure you, having come from a newspaper background, we want to make the newspaper editor's job as easy as possible. We should pick a day, like the 5th of the month or the first Friday or something like that. And we should that's when the article should go in. We should do it the same day every month or the same day of the week every month. And then they can print it when they want to print it. It's up to them, but we've got our article in and she can use it how she wants to use it.
Okay, then frankly, I think we should start now.
I agree.
For instance, I think, and Rachel, of course, I needed to agree, but you have championed becoming a Monarch city. I think it would be great if you wrote the first article that announces this. And it doesn't have to be for January. If anything, maybe announcing that we're a Monarch city should be closer to spring planting time, so people who are beginning to make their orders can then say, oh, well, I'm going to order some milkweed seeds, that kind of thing. I'll be happy to take the first article. I think, for instance, I'll do it on, do you know what you should recycle and how? I can do that as the first article. So as you have ideas, everyone, please let me know. I definitely want us to highlight our representative from Facebook because of the wonderful sustainability of their plant. So anyway, this is what's in the offing. I will send you my ideas to Ruth and then send me yours.
So then what do you want the procedure for this to be when we have an article to submit? Do you want to go through Ruth? Do you want to go through you? Do you want to go through me?
I think here's the question. Obviously, our articles need approval.
Right.
Jerry, who will be approving our articles?
I don't think they really need to be approved. I think if you take a look at them, the city is going to accept you're giving your stamp of approval. These don't have to run through City Hall.
Okay, excellent. Wonderful.
I mean,
Then,
just don't commit the city to something that you feel that, would not be attainable. But, I think Steve's suggestion is great that, have an ongoing program, whether it be the 10th of the month or something like that. And I think it's great that the Chronicle has agreed to cooperate in this way.
thank you. So Steve, why don't you name, you're thinking the 5th of every month is a good idea or what?
5th of the month, first Friday of the month. I mean, I've first Monday of the month. I think we can pick a date. I think the earlier in the month we do it, the better chance we have to give her that whole month to put it where she wants to put it. But I'm open to anything. I don't have any real suggestion as far as that goes. I think we can just kind of pick something and go with it. But I think we might want to send her a sample article or two this month, even if that's not going to be the date. And that's something I can work out with her, or you can work out with her. If you want me to run point on this, I will.
Yes, you continue to run point on it. Everyone should send me the articles, and then if I feel they're appropriate in an order, I'll send them to you, Steve, and you'll be the connection with the excellent. So let's say
let's get a sample article that maybe end up being our January article then, and then let's decide. I'll figure out with her how she wants this to work in the future, and we can talk about that in January.
Okay, I'm going
to. Good idea to just submit like the week after the meeting, something like that. The Monday after our sustainability meeting. When the article goes in for submission. That way we can kind of review it and send it in short order.
Yeah, that would be, in the worst case scenario, that would be what, like the 10th. That might be a little late, but we could probably work with that. In most cases, it would be the first Monday.
Okay, so you're saying, Kenny, that you think it would be good that every article is reviewed by the commission?
Yeah, distribute to the commission ahead of time for comments. That way we can make any last minute revisions and catch anything that would, otherwise potentially catch somebody off guard.
Excellent. I think that's a great idea. It would be kind of a running piece of business. Excellent.
That being the case, if we're going to look at the articles and make changes to it right then why not Friday after the meeting?
Okay, I think that's great. The Friday after every meeting.
Yep.
Now, one concern, of course, is that we will not be able to review the one I'm proposing because we say we have to have one ready for January. She wants to start then.
Right.
Can we agree that if I simply write one on what lakeside
Lake Shore.
Lakeside.
Lakeshore, our recycling company, what they require when we recycle. Can we agree that's probably benign and acceptable to everyone?
I'd
As
still
far-
recommend sending it out and giving people the chance to provide feedback prior to, making the paper.
I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. Time is kind of the essence here though, so we can't wait. We can't give everyone like 2 weeks to look it over.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, I don't think it's a terrible idea. And that can all be. Yeah, I however this works, I'm happy to work with it.
And we don't have Jason here, but I recall something about the difficulty of doing this without a meeting. In other words, I would send it to Ruth, Ruth would send it to you. If you had comments and they went back to Ruth and changes were made, and Jerry, you have to verify this because Jason, I always got the implication that we couldn't work on together on, say, a letter we wanted to create. Even if we did this through him, because we couldn't make final decisions until we had a meeting that voted on it. But in this case, if people send revisions back and forth and there's a final copy that includes them, could we move forward with it?
I don't understand your question.
When you're,
The question is, say I write an article tomorrow and I send it to Ruth and she sends it to all the commissioners and they make little tweaks like, well, you forgot to mention plastic bottles, whatever. And then I tweak the article per the suggestions of the commissioners.
Why would you send it to Ruth? Why would you send it to Ruth? Just send it to the commissioners.
I can't.
You haven't got
I can
everybody's,
never just. I know, but remember, I have to always go through Ruth. I cannot talk to more than one commissioner at a time because that constitutes being together in a meeting.
oh, I see.
yeah, I think sending the letter out through Ruth makes sense, but
Yeah,
the
it
idea
does.
would be is we provide the feedback back individually to the author.
Yes, yes, that'll be
Author is
fine.
Still making the edits, and it's only a two-person conversation then. And if it's a magnitude enough to warrant a revised draft going back out, that would be sent out by Ruth again.
Okay, thank you very much, Kenny. You're right. You could I send it out via Ruth, she sends it to everyone, and you individually communicate with me. I will
Yep.
do this promptly because like Steve said, we've got to get this in. But mind you, Steve, of course, this doesn't mean she needs it to put in the January 1st newspaper.
No, but I want to be able to get her a sample to say, this is the kind of thing we're going to be doing. This will be about the length it is. And then, hey, when is the day, do you think you want to publish these? When do you want these from us? Let's work out a date for submission. I want to be able to have that in hand when I have that conversation with.
Excellent. Well, just be aware that when I finish this article, let's see, today's Thursday, can I get it done tomorrow? Very possibly. And once you get it from Ruth, figure that you're going to need to get back to me promptly. And I suppose I can give you a deadline, looking at the calendar here, this is the 3rd. Let's say that you need to get back to me by, Monday's the 7th. If I can get it,
What if we just said we have to get it back to you within 3 days from receiving it from Ruth?
sounds good.
Excellent.
Okay,
Yeah,
We'll do that.
speak now or forever hold your peace scenario.
Right, yeah.
okay, excellent. Look at all we're getting done. We better hurry up or the mayor's gonna say, see, your meetings are too long. Now, the update on the Monarch City registration, I gave you. We're in. And one of the things in the email that Ruth forwarded me that welcomes us into the group says, let us know if you're planning to have a Monarch Festival. Now, with COVID-19 and the fact that it's still going to be iffy just how much gathering we can do in 2021, I propose we put that idea off till 2022. It would be wonderful. Imagine what we could do. We could have this whole big display. It would be fabulous. So that's something in the offing. Now, update on the beekeeping ordinance.
Oh, wait,
Steve? Oh, yes?
as
Yes.
far as the Monarch City, you had mentioned we need to let people know how to choose a sign, which sign they would like. Literally, you go on the website, there are 3 choices. And I know like Mike was saying, they might want one for the Water Reclamation District. Some of the parks may want them. You just choose your style and order them there. And we are already listed on the website as part of it.
Nice.
Excellent. Thank you, Rachel. Wonderful. Okay, Jerry needs to discuss these term renewals now.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah, I'm going to have to run here. As you had suggested at the beginning of the meeting, we have a number of commissioners whose terms expire at the end of December. This was done primarily because what we have done over the last year, and this was a move that I had attempted to make because of the fact that I have to appoint and reappoint so many folks. All terms now on all commissions across the board in the city will have expiration dates of December 31st. I know that that what that does is to take somebody like Steve Honeywell, who has not been on for more than a year and a half. But when I reappoint you, if you're interested in a new term, it will be for the full 3 years then. So your next term would expire in 2023. So the following folks have terms expiring on the 31st. And I think you had indicated, Claire, that all I needed was an email from each of these individuals indicating that they would like to be reappointed, at which time I will reappoint and have that list ready for the December 14th City Council meeting. These are the folks: Rachel Farrell, Steve Honeywell, Ken Cook, Claire Crone, Sharon Scala, and Virginia Wilcox. So if those 6 folks would, yeah, and you don't have to do a thing. Those 6 folks simply send me an email, jerry.smith@cityofdekalb.com. Say, yes, I'd like to continue on with the Citizen Environmental Commission, and you're in like Flint.
Jerry, I apparently have misunderstood terms because I thought our terms were always 2 years long.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
Same.
I thought I recently renewed mine. But I could be wrong.
Isn't
Terms
it
must
2
end
years?
in December of a year, because I've been on for about 2.5 years. So it's December must be an end point.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you're muted. Okay.
Each and every commission is different, so I'm just looking at here. In the information I have, there are no, there's no indication of how long the term is. You understood that it was 2 years?
Yes.
That was my
Okay.
that was my understanding as well.
Okay, then it's 2 years. We'll make sure that it's 2 years.
Okay. Thank you so much for attending. I want to be sure there's nothing else that we would want to say to you. We do have a few more updates, but you will be seeing shortly our updates on the beekeeping ordinance and a leaf burning ordinance, which I will then be forwarding to you. If I want all the city council members to get a document, like my letter of recommendation, once we vote on it, do I send it to Ruth and she distributes it to everyone?
I think anytime that you need something sent
Okay.
out to Councilman Claire, simply send it to Ruth and we'll get it to city council. Obviously, the leaf burning ordinance will be something that will prompt considerable discussion. Maybe not only within this commission, but at city council. So get it to us and we try to share that. We're in for full transparency.
Excellent. And you will see it tomorrow because we have the letter recommending it. And
Good.
by the way, there is a full ordinance already that is out there from 2018 from the county of DeKalb that includes every place that's not a city, town, or village. So it's already been promulgated based on Illinois EPA regulations. So it really shouldn't be a big.
Shouldn't be.
Thank you so much, Jerry, for attending.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for all your service. I really appreciate it. As I transition out here, I've only got several months left. I have often said to people, we have a number of boards and commissions, and boy, you ought to see that environmental commission. Do they talk about a lot of stuff? I mean, flooding, chickens, at all. So, but do appreciate all you're doing, and yeah, Claire, I know you and I will continue to stay in touch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
You've been a
Jerry.
delight to work with.
Thank you.
Okay. Steve, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I had to sign something for my wife.
Okay. Now, we have been in communication today about that beekeeping ordinance.
Yes,
And I had sent you a final email saying that you talked about the biggest problem was plot size.
yes.
What could be a minimal plot size and still allow that 25 feet from all plot?
I don't think you must not have gotten the email back from me because I replied to you.
Oh, okay,
Um,
no.
Here's my thinking. Let's not worry about lot size. If we just say that a hive has to be 25 feet from every lot, from all lot lines, lot size shouldn't matter.
You're right. Okay, now, so do you have this model ordinance that would be ready that we could send to the city council?
I have the ordinance that I wrote that I worked on with Jason. I can make the changes that I would need to make to that, and I can send that to you in the next couple days.
Excellent, excellent. And,
Wow.
okay, you could send it to me. However,
Or I
that's
can send it
not
to Ruth.
something that the whole commission would have looked at.
I'll send it to Ruth. She can send it to everybody.
Right. Not sure we can move forward on it though, unless we do come together.
When were we looking at putting this in front of the city council?
Well, I would do it ASAP. I mean, if you literally had it today and you said, this is how it reads.
You know, give me 1 second.
Well-
You know what? If you don't mind, if we can temporarily move on to the next item, let me look at it, make 2 quick changes to it, and I'll send it to you right now and we can look at it.
Excellent.
I didn't.
All right,
Now,
I'm gonna
the-
mute y'all for a second because I can't, I have to be looking at something and I can't listen to you guys talking about something else while I do it.
Of course,
So
of course.
go ahead, talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Give me 5 minutes and I'll have it to you.
Sure. Now, I do have to share my screen so that you can see the letter that I was to write and have ready for today that talks about our request that we have a ban on burning. Now, I got some wonderful documents from Kenny in which he does show that already the county has this ban in place. And he gave me a couple of model ordinances from Michigan and Wisconsin. So I want you to take a look at this. I will read it to you, mostly with some comments in between. Mr. Mayor and City Council members, the CEC proposes the enactment of an ordinance regulating leaf and yard waste burning within the city limits of DeKalb due to the impact of smoke and associated contaminants that endanger the general welfare of its inhabitants. Now, no, we already even have this in our own code. We have a mandate to fulfill this obligation as it states within our city code via chapter 12 nuisances 12.01 number 6, that a public nuisance includes, and this is under the general category, to cause, permit, or maintain any other act or condition which is injurious or dangerous to public health, or which causes injury, annoyance, or inconvenience to the public. Now, the DeKalb County Board adopted a similar ordinance, number, et cetera, entitled, et cetera, that applied to all property that lies outside of the corporate limits of any city, village, or town. This was enacted pursuant to 35 Illinois Administrative Code 237.110, in which local governments are tasked with enforcement of the prohibitions open burning as described in the EPA section of the Illinois Administrative Code. So we already have a directive from the state that this should be enacted. We promote adopting a similar ordinance with the same main restrictions as follows. I'll just say this briefly: to prevent the unrestricted burning of leaves and yard waste because it endangers physical health, etc. We request that the same definitions apply: yard waste, any waste generated as a result of tree trimming, lawn mowing, etc. And open burning, the combustion of any matter in such a way that the products of combustion are emitted to the open air without originating in or passing through equipment for which a permit could be and has been issued under the EPA. Note, we're talking about regulating burning, so that we shouldn't have a lot of pushback if someone has a regulated a license to do burning in enclosed situations. But we do want to prevent people being able to, say, take a barrel and burn garbage, even though it doesn't state garbage here. So we want to get this covered. Enforcement costs will be offset over time by reduced fire calls related to open burning incidents. And this was suggested by Kenny as a way to, tell people, listen, we're not going to cut into the budget just because we're going to prohibit burning inside the city limits. And then I will attach the DeKalb County ordinance as well as those two model ordinances for Michigan and Wisconsin. Thank you for your consideration, etc. Does anyone feel I need to add or change anything in this letter?
No, but I just want to ask Kenny a question. Ken, how does this, because a lot of people in my neighborhood do backyard burning of wood. How does this, if someone gets mad, calls the city, someone's burning, but they're doing it in a confined fire pit, what are the nuances with that based on other ordinances?
Most ordinances would still allow that. Yeah, basically most ordinances still allow like any type of fire within a contained, fire ring or chimney.
Okay.
And they will specify that it has to be, or should be dried firewood, burned within such apparatus as opposed to general yard debris.
Okay,
But
thank you.
generally that would still be viewed as acceptable.
Okay, excellent. And also, Anne, if you'll note here, they're very specific as to what comes from clearing your yard, branches and lawn waste and leaf raking and all that kind of stuff, which is very different from having your fire pit and you put logs in it.
Well, but to start my fire, I've pruned my trees, I've saved the small sticks, the small twigs, and I've used that. So technically I'm in violation according to this.
Me too. I have one burning right now.
So, that's, I do save, and like, I'm not going to burn grass or anything because that just stinks.
Yeah.
But, I will take some, I'll let it dry out and then I'll use it as starter.
Shall I add a short paragraph stating, this is not to imply that recreational fire pit log burning, I don't know how to state it exactly, should be prohibited. How should I state that?
I don't know that we need to get too much into the weeds, to me, that's part of what the council should be doing, more so yet. I mean, the intent is just to provide additional deterrence from excessive burning and burning of stuff that's, going to create excessive amounts of smoke and everything, especially when there are viable collection options available. I mean, we're not trying to get at recreational burning here. We're trying to get at burning as a waste disposal.
Okay,
Right.
and that's a good distinction to make.
Okay, good, because it does start any waste.
Okay.
All right,
And
thank you
also,
very much.
Do
So,
you mean
go ahead.
Environmental Protection Act section, right? You have,
I'm sorry, Environmental Protection Act.
section, okay, yeah, I saw environmental protection, but you said APA, so I think that's what you meant to have in there.
EPA, yes, 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 yes.
I'm sorry, we
Okay.
have about 2 minutes left and I have to cut out at 6, so.
Okay, and
I do wonder if we want to, focus more on the driver for this, being the health benefits. From what I've seen, the estimated deaths per year on particulate matter or, on actual air pollution is in excess of 200,000 deaths a year. I mean, especially when you look at that in terms of COVID right now, I mean, that's an astounding number of deaths. And, it's even more astounding that, we as a society are doing nothing, meaningful to address this when there are so many, viable options available to improve upon this yet.
so would it be possible to ask you to, I'd like to ask someone to entertain a motion to accept this letter with the addition of focusing on the damage due to particulates with the exact statistics that Kenny just mentioned, the excess of 200,000 deaths a year due to particulate matter, and then allow the letter to be sent to the city council. Can I have a motion?
I'll motion.
You'll move? Okay, someone second the motion?
Second,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Anne. If there's any other updates that people are going to have in the next minute on other issues, I'll jot that down.
I sent you the beat legislation.
Oh, and we're not going to have time. Well,
Okay.
no, if people don't, I think when we lose Anne though, because I think Virginia's gone. I
Yeah.
don't think we'll have, okay, we do not have a quorum to go any further tonight. So I guess we'll address that next time, okay, Steve?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But you may, send it to Ruth, have her send it out to everybody. Everybody can take a look.
Okay. Bye, Anne. Thank you
I'll
very
send you-
much.
I'll send you the minutes later on in the week.
Okay, someone move that we
Motion to adjourn.
end this
Seconded.
meeting?
Second,
Yes, motion to adjourn. Okay, and second, all in favor? Say
Aye.
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 We probably don't need that. Okay, meeting is adjourned. See you next month, everyone. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Bye.